Hello again, you're watching EASD TV. So, e-learning, it's, if I may suggest it, a jewel in the crown of EASD. And I want to introduce you to the power couple behind it, Chantal, Mathieu and Eleanor Kennedy. And just explain before we start a bit of the history of e-learning, and then we'll talk about how brilliant it is. But just tell us about the history and how you both got involved in this. Chantal, let's start with you.
Yeah, so when I joined the board of EASD in 2018, Eleanor had just been commissioned to do a review of our postgraduate education activities. And until then, we were very hands-on. So we were mainly doing face-to-face, small workshop-like events, 2 to 3 days, where 5-6 experts would go to an area of Europe and there work for 2 days, 3 days with 100 people. And Eleanor did a review of that work, and it was an amazing amount of work that was put into these workshops. I mean, imagine a faculty going there, bringing in 100 people from the area, working for 2 to 3 days. But when you looked, and she really did an amazing job, when you looked at the outcomes, in the end it was a lot of effort for not so much in a very limited amount of people that we reached. And so I still remember my very first board meeting, Eleanor presenting the report on what she'd done, where she said, quality is good, but our spread, our reach globally is very, very poor. And
okay.
So
Eleanor, take up the story now.
I'll take up the story. I didn't actually realise that was your first board meeting.
Yes.
So what Chantal says is right. The quality of the face-to-face courses was brilliant, but the expense was huge. You're parachuting in faculty and in very limited geographical areas. So what I suggested to the board was, why don't we try some e-learning? And I had experience of that from a previous life. And the board were incredibly receptive to it. So they asked if I would set up some e-learning.
No, they didn't. Let me tell you. Let me tell you what happened when you left the room.
Oh yeah, well that bit I don't know.
We listened to the advice, and then we said, perhaps we need to do this e-learning. And so we scouted, looking at different companies who were doing e-learning. And I will not name them, but we got offers, and the price of some of the e-learning activities out there was astronomical. And we as EASD are quite frugal, and we want to put every euro to work. And so we looked at different possibilities and ended up again with Eleanor Kennedy, who could offer an e-learning platform that was really suited for EASD, namely serious, clinically relevant, scientifically built, but also affordable. I shouldn't say it, but it is what it was.
So all of this happened in around 2018.
Yeah.
And then came COVID, which, as we've been learning today in this studio, had a devastating impact on people living with diabetes, but it was a perfect serendipitous moment for your e-learning program.
Absolutely. I think we launched the first modules somewhere second half of 2019.
We launched a few taster modules in 2018 at the EASD in Berlin, and then we did a much bigger launch at the EASD in 2019. And then, of course, it was, as you said, complete serendipity that we had this platform set up, because in March 2020 we all went into lockdown, and we were left with this fantastic opportunity to be the voice of EASD, because everyone was learning online, everyone had to access information, And one of the things we did, and it's one of the things that I'm still the proudest of, I did what I always do, which is just pick up the phone, talk to all the experts and say, could you do a little video on what we know about COVID? And my team put together a little series of 20 videos from all over the world within the first 2 months of lockdown. And that is still the most popular initiative that we've had on our site. We still have people visiting it. And then we went back a year later, did another 20 or so video casts with different people. The amount that we had learned in just 1 year was phenomenal. And I'm really pleased that EASD, elearning and EASD was able to offer healthcare professionals from all over the world this resource for nothing. It's free, you just register and you get access to it. So it was really lovely to be able to help.
So the great advantage of e-learning is that it's you can update it very quickly. You've got access to all sorts of experts all over the world, and you haven't got to worry about taking them away for a long time from their practice, which is becoming more and more of an issue for people today. So what, as an EASD member, would I get from your e-learning platform now? Just tell me some of the things that are available.
Yeah, so our e-learning platform has a more formal, what I call sit-down learning section, where we have the courses, now over 25. How many courses do we have?
About 25, 26 courses 25. that are chunked up into modules.
Exactly.
They're broken down into modules, so there's lots. I think there's about 80 or 82 modules which we put into different courses.
And what's the most popular one?
Diabetic ketoacidosis.
There you go.
So these modules are really formal e-learning. So with an introduction, a rationale for this module, you go through the module, you get questions asked. At the end, you get a formal assessment, you answer questions. You can do case studies if you wish. And for many of these modules, you also get an accreditation certificate now by the Royal College of General Practitioners. We also give a certificate by EASD, a certificate of completion of the modules, which for many people this is important. That's the formal sit-down learning model. But there's also a different style of material that is on our EASD-elearning.org website, and that's more piecemeal learning, as I call it. We discovered that as we have individualized treatment for people with diabetes, we also have individualized learning for healthcare professionals. And so the other formats, for instance, are very small clips. The COVID was illustrated, but also, for instance, there's a format called the long and short of it, where you have a discussion between two experts on a topic, the importance of SGLT2 inhibitors in individuals with chronic kidney disease. 10-15 minutes. And then that's the long of it. And then you have the short of it, a 90-second or 1 minute and a half about,
2 minutes,
so 90-second bottom line of this discussion.
So this is fantastic stuff for very busy clinicians and researchers. And just give me some indication of the take-up of this from, what were the figures at the beginning of people doing it and what are they on?
Yeah,
what are they
so
now?
that's Eleanor. I mean, that's the question I asked.
At the beginning were tiny. They were minuscule. EASD had no footprint in e-learning. So it was very much a steep learning curve. But I have to say the healthcare professionals from around the world, they cottoned on very quickly. And we now have, so if you register to use the site, that's great, but you don't have to register. You can still come and have a potter around and learn stuff. We've got over 8,000 registered users. We have tens of thousands of people accessing the site every month from every inhabited continent in the world. There's very few countries where we haven't had an impact. Some of the modules like DKA are incredibly popular, so we're always updating and doing more modules there. feedback we get is enormously positive because people are learning from the experts. These are people that, for a lot of different countries, they might not have access to coming to the EASD conference or coming to the ADA conference, but they have access to them on our site. So it's really lovely. The feedback we get is incredibly heartening because we know we're making a difference.
Well, it's a fantastic initiative, and all credit to you two, because I think you have been the power couple that have powered this through. I know that these things are not always easy to do, so be proud of yourselves. And Chantal gave you the URL, but let me give it to you again, if I can remember it, EASD-elearning.org. And it really is a fantastic resource. Do go and have a look at it. Bye for now.